Hi, my name is Evan Archella, and I'm going to walk you through some tips and tricks for Microsoft PowerPoint 2010. This demonstration is for those of you who are upgrading or migrating from Microsoft PowerPoint 2003. So what you're going to see in this demonstration is not only new features for 2010, but also some things that you might have missed in 2007 to give you kind of the total solution for what you're going to see throughout the course of this upgrade scenario. We're going to look at this in a number of different ways. We're going to talk about bringing your ideas to life. So how can you have more effective, better looking presentations? I'm going to give you some tools for how to do that. Working together more effectively. We're going to look at some co-authoring capabilities within PowerPoint. We're also going to talk about anywhere access to your work. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in terms of the mobile devices and PowerPoint Mobile, but primarily what I'm going to show you is something we call PowerPoint Web App, which is a browser-based version of Microsoft PowerPoint. You'll see it also with Word, Excel, and OneNote as well. And you'll be able to take advantage of viewing, creating, and editing files within the browser, and being able to not only work on your desktop within the full PowerPoint application, but within the browser, within your own PC or any other PC that can happen to connect to the internet. And that's available through Windows Live SkyDrive, SharePoint, and Office 365. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get a little deeper into the demonstration. What we're going to look at here with Microsoft PowerPoint 2010 again is primarily around the 2003 to 2010 experience. And we're going to begin that here within the context of PowerPoint 2010. I want to point out for you the new user interface. You can see it here up here at the top. We call this the ribbon. The ribbon is made up of a number of different command tabs, and within those tabs are groups of commands that are relevant to particular tasks. So for example, this is a clipboard group. You can see commands that are relevant to the clipboard. As I go through the tabs though, you can see the insert tab. If I was going to insert something into a slide, chances are pretty good I'm going to find it on the insert tab. There are tabs that are relevant to whichever application you happen to be working in. So this is obviously PowerPoint. So we have a slideshow tab. Things like that you're going to see within the context of whichever application that you're working in. You'll also see things like the Review tab. This is where you would come to turn on the track changes capabilities in some versions of the applications, add comments. This is also where you'll see your spell checks. If you're going looking for your spell check, when do you check for spelling? Well, usually when you're reviewing your document for spelling mistakes. And so that spelling button here is on the Review tab, and this is one place that you can access that button. Let's go over to the Design tab. I want to show you another element of this interface. You can see this area here that's called Themes. Themes are collections of colors, fonts, and effects that you can apply across an entire document or presentation or spreadsheet for that matter. This is a gallery. You see here visual representations of what those themes would look like, and it's really the gallery that I'm pointing out here, not so much the themes. Some of the tabs have galleries that basically allow you to be able to see before you apply a feature what that feature is going to look like, and on top of that, as you hover over these galleries, you're going to see a live preview within the context of your documents. You don't have to make a change and then have to undo it because you didn't like it. As you're clicking through, you can just hover over the different options within the gallery, and you can see what those options are going to look like. And when you find one that you like, then you can actually just go ahead and click that particular selection and apply it to the entire document. So you can see I just turned on a theme. You can notice on the left hand side all of my slides have adopted the characteristics of that theme: colors, fonts, effects. And I could, this is an office level feature, I could actually go through Word and Excel and put the same theme on all my documents, so they have a very unique look and feel. But you'll see galleries like this themes gallery as you're working throughout the new user interface. So let's go to another slide. Here I have a chart, and as I click that chart, I want you to see the chart tools across the top. We have Design, Layout, and Format. This is a contextual command tab. That means it only shows up in the context in which I need to use it. So it's only when I'm working on the chart that I see the tools. If I was to click off of that chart, you'll notice that those tools disappear. They're only visible when I need to use them. If I don't have an occasion to use those tools, and I don't have to worry about being distracted from other commands that I want to use. So tables, charts, other types of objects like that are going to have those contextual tabs related to them. If I click on that slide title here, you'll actually see drawing tools show up here at the top as well. I could go into that contextual tab. I want to point out for you the dialog box launchers right here. So if you're looking for a command, you don't know where it is, if you see these little diagonal arrows, if you click that, it'll open up the dialog box interface that you're familiar with from older versions. And so if you need to get into a dialog box, they're still here, just kind of tucked away a little bit beneath that little launcher arrow icon. Also, you'll notice the quick access toolbar, this area here. This is a place where you're going to find save, undo, redo, but you can also customize this. You can see the drop down here. I added the spell check to this so that I could just access it quickly from here instead of having to go over to the review tab. Now, you can also go into your options within PowerPoint. You can customize the ribbon in this version. You can create your own custom tabs, put the commands that you like on those tabs as well. So there is a level of customization there. Let's go to the File tab. This is what we call Backstage View. This is where all of your document or presentation management, in this case, tasks are going to be located. We'll come back to this a little bit later as it relates to permissions and preparing documents, etc. Let's go to the New tab. This is where you find all of your new templates, for example. So if you have new documents you want to create here, the Print tab is interesting because it gives you not only your print options, but it also gives you a print preview right within this view. So you see everything within the same place. And also on Help, you'll find as you're new to this interface, if you click Getting Started, you can go out to the internet. You can look at our interactive guides. It will show you where your commands are from 2003 to 2007 and 2010 in terms of the new user interface. So you can also come up here and just type Open XML. There was a file format change between 2003 and 2007. It's carried forward through 2010. It's called the Open XML file format. And if you go to this article called Open XML Formats and Extensions, you can read about that. You'll understand what you need to know in terms of compatibility and some of the things that you need to be aware of as it relates to a change in the file format. So we've looked at getting started here. Let's kind of take a look at a few things that you can use to really enhance your presentations and start getting much more interactivity, much more life out of these presentations. Here's a slide with a bulleted list. We've all seen a bulleted list before. We've all sat in presentations where it was just nothing but bulleted list after bulleted list. One nice thing about PowerPoint 2007 and then on into 2010 is if you click a bulleted list, right-click it, you'll see Convert to Smart Art. And you'll see some options here. If I go to more graphics, I can pick some different types of diagrams. These are all pre-configured diagrams. You can take a bulleted list and simply convert it into a diagram. So rather than just a plain bulleted list, what you can see here, if I just drop this down, I can begin adding bullets to this. I can go ahead and type in another bullet, but I've actually got a much more visual representation of the idea that I want to communicate. And that helps my audience to absorb that information a little bit better than just seeing that plain text on the slide. I'll put a 3D effect on this and just kind of close out that dialogue there. And you can see I have a very nice looking diagram now in just a few clicks, and I don't have to be a graphics expert to do it. Let's go down to another slide here where I have an image. Sometimes people put images in the context of their presentations, and you can see here this slide's about the global marketplace, and if I click this you can see I have picture tools across the top here. This is a picture of Prague, and I really don't want to necessarily talk about Prague. I want to talk about the international market. So this church that you see here is a very identifying feature of Old Town Prague. So what I'm going to do actually is just hit crop, and I'm just going to crop down to these buildings on the right hand side. They give them a little bit more generic kind of European look to it, and let's just crop that out. And then I'm also going to use my picture styles. You can see them here, and I want to just put a picture style on this. I like this one. It kind of looks like a photograph that was maybe thrown down on a desk or a table. And let's just change the size of that a little bit and just kind of recenter it here on the slide. And you can see now I have a very nice image, and it really speaks to the idea behind this particular slide. With photos, you can take advantage of a number of different tools, but you also have tools for video. So let's go to another slide. There's a video icon here. It makes it very easy to insert a video into a slide. I actually happen to have a Windows Media file here I'm just going to bring in. And a couple things to notice about this. You can see I have a playback bar here available to me to play the video, and this is actually embedded within the presentation. So you don't have to deal with having the original source file if you're going to share this. It's now embedded straight into the slideshow, and there's a way to compress that media a little bit later. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. You do have video tools here across the top, and in fact, if I go over here to the playback tab, it's very easy. For example, if I want to trim this video, I've got some front matter on this video that I want to get rid of, so I'm going to just crop it off. So we'll just trim the video down, and we'll just take out the first 25 seconds of that video. And I can also add like a fade effect, for example. So if I want to fade this in over the course of about 2 seconds, it's easy to add that information here as well. Also have video styles. We talked about picture styles. If I want to put a style on this video frame, for example, this one's got a nice reflection, and if I was to play this video, you would see the reflection playing there as well. You can put all kinds of different looks and feels onto the different video frames that you put in. Now, I'm just going to drag this over for a second here. I want to get to about frame 32 seconds in here, and you notice before that it was just kind of a blurry image. Well, now you see a classroom, and I'd like that to actually be the frame that's on the slide. So if I was to print it out or something, it's got a specific starting image. If you have a particular frame in your video that you want to make what they call a poster frame, I'm just going to use the current frame here, that will basically set that frame as the starting point for, it's not the starting point for the video, but it's what people would see on the slide, and when you clicked it, it would basically go back to the beginning, fade in using the effect that I set, and play the rest of the video. But it's a nice starting point if you have a particular screenshot that you want to be a video frame that you want to be that, or if you want to upload something completely different, you can set a different image for that as well. There's another way you can bring in video, and that's from a website. On the Insert tab, you'll see video from a website. So if you had a link from YouTube or something like that, you wanted to just paste it in here, you can bring videos in that way as well. Let's go to the View tab. I want to show you something here as it relates to organization. If I go to the new slide, it's not the new slide sorter view, but there's something here that's new called sections. And you can see here I've added some sections. Here's the introduction section, for example. And sections allow you basically to organize your slides within the slide sorter by section, so that if I wanted to like assign a section, like a coworker is responsible for the introduction, I could set it all apart there, and then they know exactly what it is that they need to edit. You also have the opportunity here of basically adding new sections. So I'm going to create a section here. I'm going to rename it. Let's just call it Sales and Marketing. And all of these slides here are going to be part of that section. So it helps you just to cordon off these things, make it easier to organize and deal with this information. And when you run it in the slideshow, the audience doesn't know that these have been sectioned off like this. It's purely from an organizational standpoint. And it allows you to, obviously like your old slide sorter, if you just click a slide, you want to move it somewhere else within the presentation, the sections help you, because you can, like for this example, I'm going to put this down in the appendix, so I'm going to drop it right there, and I've moved it from one section to another. So it's a very easy way to stay organized within the context of the slideshow. So we talked about videos, we talked about photographs, smart art, diagrams, a number of ways that you can bring life to your presentation. Let's talk a little bit about working together more effectively. I'm going to go up to the File tab. A couple things to show you here on the Info tab. We talked a little bit about this earlier. You see a Compress Media button. So as I mentioned, the video is embedded into the presentation. So if you need to adjust your file size, things like that, you can use this compression functionality to do that. You also have something called Check for Issues. This is an interesting capability. You can use the document inspector. The document inspector will look this over for XML code, document properties, other things that you may not want to go along with this if you were to share it. And you also have the opportunity of checking compatibility. So I mentioned the file format change. If there's something in this presentation that somebody running the old file format might have trouble with, you can identify that, so you'll understand it. You can fix it if it's something that you need to fix, or down saving, things like that. You'll understand what it is that you need to do. You also have, from a protection standpoint, the ability to mark a presentation as final. If I mark something as final, What it basically does is just make it read-only, and you can see if I come over here, it lets people know that this has been marked as final. Now, somebody can override that if they need to, but it's a notice to let them know that, hey, this is finished, and we're not expecting any edits here. Or it also preserves accidental things, like if I was to hit my keyboard or something accidentally, and it just keeps that file from being editing. It discourages editing. It's not a security feature because somebody can overwrite it. You can hit edit anyway, or they can come in here and just turn off mark as final. But it's a good way just to help to preserve the integrity of that particular presentation. You also have the ability under Save and Send to create a PDF or XPS document of this presentation, and you don't need anything else to be able to do it. It just happens within Office, and if you have the Reader installed from Adobe, you'll be able to see that presentation in the Adobe Reader. So I could scroll through this as a kind of an offline document, so to speak. If I close back out of that, let's go back over to that File tab one more time. You may, when you're working with other people, also want to be able to put this out in an online location. So you have Save to Web, and you also have Save to SharePoint. Now, Save to Web puts it out on the Windows Live SkyDrive, which is a consumer storage site. It allows you to be able to use your Windows Live ID to access storage, put things out there. It's really more for consumers. If you're an organization that's running SharePoint, you can save straight to SharePoint and be able to get that information out to the organization that way. Either way, when you put a file out on those online locations, if I was to go out to an online location where I had stored that file and open it up, you're going to see something called Protected View. All right, so this file was opened from an internet location, either SkyDrive or SharePoint. In my particular case, it was SkyDrive. But you'll see the same behavior in both cases. And in order to edit this document, I need to click Enable Editing. It's just a safety feature to make sure that whatever you're sharing, you trust the location or the source of that information that you're trying to open. Now you'll notice here I am in PowerPoint 2010. You can see at the bottom, though, that my colleague Sanjay is also editing this document. This is an example of what we call co-authoring. Co-authoring means that I don't have to wait in line to be able to edit this. If this file lives in SharePoint or it lives on SkyDrive and I want to open it in PowerPoint 2010, my coworkers can do so as well. We can begin working on this together. And if I click this, you'll see two of us are in the document. I'm signed in as Karen, and Sanjay is the other worker. And if I click Sanjay, you can see actually the streamlined communications interface here that's plugged into our instant messaging client. Allows me to be able to see, and if it's Communicator, Office Communicator, it's pulling through Exchange information as well from our Exchange server. It's a pretty rich capability to be able to work with someone within the context of your document. Now, you'll notice a little icon appeared. You can see it here, and if I click it, you'll see Sanjay is editing this slide. So I'm notified exactly where Sanjay is, and I know what he's doing within the document. So if I come up here to slide 2, for example, and I want to work on this, let's just change it from summary to overview, for example. When I hit save, it's basically going to refresh the presentation. And you can see that Sanjay's changes have been brought forth into my presentation, and mine were pushed over to him. So we can synchronize those changes between the two of us as we're working within the context of the document. Now, let me go out and show you one other thing online. If I was to go into SkyDrive or to SharePoint and open up the file within the web apps, so if you were to just basically be out on your SharePoint folder or on your SkyDrive and click that document title, instead of opening it in PowerPoint, what it's first going to do is take you into the read mode of the PowerPoint web app, and that's what you see here. This is a browser-based version of PowerPoint. This is the read view, so I have things like a file tab if I need it. I also have an ability to navigate my presentation, so I can jump between different slides. And I have the ability to start a slideshow right from here. So I can run my slideshow from the browser with my animations and my transitions, and when I'm finished, I can just simply close it out again. This is all within the read mode of that web app. If I hit Edit in Browser, Edit in Browser will allow me to actually edit this file within a very similar interface to what I see in PowerPoint 2010. So what you see here is the ribbon across the top and the tabs as they relate, and I can do things like, add a slide to this presentation. So let's just pick a layout here and add a slide. And you can see I have the Insert tab, I have the View tab, I can do a few different things in here. And let's just go ahead and click and type in a heading for this slide. So you can type directly into the context of that slideshow. And if I go back over to the Home tab, if I needed the full functionality of PowerPoint, I can always open it up in PowerPoint and begin taking advantage of the full PowerPoint 2010 application. But I don't have to have this to be able to edit the presentation within the context of the web app. So I can really work on it anywhere I need to go. And you can see the protected view here as well, letting me know that that came in from an online location. Let's go back to our presentation here for a second. What we've talked about today is PowerPoint 2010. I showed you a few things for getting started. I also talked about bringing your ideas and your presentations to life, working together more effectively, and giving you anywhere access to your work with the PowerPoint web app. But now you also do have access to PowerPoint Mobile. If you're a Windows Phone 7 user, you can access and view your presentations within the context of your mobile device as well. A few links to get you started here. Office.Microsoft.com/getting started is a great intro point to Office 2010, the PowerPoint homepage. Also direct your attention to Office.Microsoft.com/web apps, which is the page for the Office web apps. Not just PowerPoint, but Excel, Word, and OneNote are all available in web app form, so I'd encourage you to check those out as well. I hope this has been a beneficial look for you at PowerPoint 2010, and I thank you very much for your time.